possession crucial from this. How much longer will the referee allow? Dublin lead by a point, and there's the whistle. It's over. It's over.
Well, hello there and welcome back to the RTÉ GAA podcast, Hurling and Football. To get through today, we'll start with football. Damian Lawlor is with me here in studio. Damian, how are things? Good to see you again. And Eamonn Fitzmaurice tuning in from Kerry as well. Eamonn, how are you keeping?
Great, Cathal. How are you doing, lads?
Yeah, all well. We were just chatting about the golf there, actually, for a start. Shane Lowry last night. Wasn't easy to watch, was it?
No, tough. He's very, very close to just adding a couple more wins to his glittering CV, but fair play to him. He came out and fronted up afterwards. He was straight as a die.
He was.
Won't take much to get him over the line, hopefully.
Yeah. Eamonn, you wouldn't hit a shot like that, would you? Would you hit shots like that?
Most of the time, I'd say, Cathal, yeah. I felt so sorry for him because he put himself in a great position and he was just playing nicely, and even you could see there was someone was coming at him. I don't know whether it was one of the guys to kind of get one of those live interviews or someone else, and he kind of warded them off maybe after about the 15th hole. So I was saying, he's really in the zone here. He's looking good, but two bad shots. Now it is a very tough finish, in fairness there, but I felt sorry for him. And your man then, the guy that won it, his shot that barely hung on and then to sink the putt, there was almost like a feeling of destiny for him then.
Yeah, on the par 3 he was lucky, but Lowry will no doubt bounce back, and I'm sure he was keeping an eye on the GA action over the weekend as well. The football this weekend, lads, I'll just run through some of the results if we can try and make sense of them in form line. So Dublin, who had 1 win from 4, they went and hammered Roscommon, who had 3 wins from 4 ahead of yesterday. Cork were unbeaten in Division 2. They go and lose to Derry by 20 points up in Celtic Park. Laois beat Westmeath by 9 points in Division 3, and Longford beat Carlow, handing them a first defeat in Division 4 by 5 points. That was yesterday in the bottom tier. So, Damian, the form book was out the window in many ways this week.
It does. First thing to say then, when you look at the league overall, 4 tiers, most of the 8 teams within the 4 are evenly matched on any given year. Secondly, the traffic since January has been fairly intense. The workload has been high. I'd say players are getting game time, but they're doing heavy training as well. And I say that's where you need your squads. But if you look at squads, maybe some players have 7, 8 out, Offaly have up to 11 out. And maybe this might explain why there are discrepancies in results after maybe 5 or 6 rounds, Cathal, because the workload on the mind and body is significant. And I guess you can't hit 100% every week. Okay, certain counties have. The likes of Donegal are going really well, but I don't know, can you motor in 5th gear the whole way through this league? I don't think the way the league is compacted and the season is compacted, I do think that you get discrepancies, especially adding in weather and the new rules, which are a blessing.
Eamonn, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, similar, Carl. I think that this weekend, when it is the one that's the 3rd weekend in a row, it is the one where you could see the discrepancies, and you can see the likes of Cork, going the 3rd weekend in a row, going all the way up to Derry from the opposite end of the country, in a great position, and then producing a performance like they did. So, they have a weekend off now. All of those teams that would have been disappointed yesterday, and they just have that opportunity to right the wrongs in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. So let's start with Division 1 then, because we had a draw yesterday in Ballyshannon. Donegal won 17, Galway 20 points. Eamonn, you watched this game yesterday. It was entertaining, really entertaining finish to it. And Donegal, you'd imagine, are much happier to take a point from that. It extends their unbeaten run in Ballyshannon, I think, to 14. It's quite a record for them. But the fact that they had a man sent off, Stephen McMenamin, and they had a black card at one stage as well, Donegal probably the happier team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Galway were in a very good position. It looked like they were going to kick on and win it. And I found the kind of the 2 card situations, I found the way the teams dealt with them fascinating in a way. The first one, we'll say the black card situation, again, so unlike Donegal in general, but so unlike Langan to plough in and get a black card like that. But Galway actually played very well during that black card phase, and I think they won it maybe 5-0, and they really went for it. And then when Langan came back on, he was barely back on the field when McMenamin got the second yellow for that. It was silly of him, really, considering he was on yellow in the first place. the way that Donegal went at the 14-man situation for the rest of the match then was, I think, the thing that Jim McGuinness will have been happiest with. And on the flip side then, Pádraig Joyce will be very disappointed with that they had the extra body for so long and they allowed Donegal back into it, and they kind of played the game on Donegal's terms for the last 20 minutes, really. But yeah, it was like for Donegal, there was just characteristics of their performance you wouldn't associate with them in terms of sloppiness and turning the ball over and making mistakes that we haven't seen from them. We rarely see from Jim McGuinness teams. We haven't seen it at all so far this year. But the second half and the final 20 minutes in particular, they really righted it. And of course, Michael Murphy coming on, the subs that came on, Morgan as well made a big difference. That they did make a difference and they came on. But probably a point won for Donegal and a point lost for Galway possibly.
And maybe Galway have been kind of Jekyll and Hyde in the league so far, Cathal, in terms of maybe giving themselves mountains to climb as they did down in Kerry, but also then coming back from the dead. Coming back from the dead as they did in Kerry, and then maybe in a great position up in Donegal yesterday, whereby they should probably have seen the game out. But as Fitzy was saying there, look at the impact there off the Donegal bench in the second half, and Morgan, Murphy stepped up, Rory. Very, very hard for a youngish Galway team to contend with all that coming at them as well in a ground like they were playing at. From a Galway point of view, I have to say there's a stack of attacking talent after coming up there, and maybe they're not fully in tune with the senior intercounty game just yet, but Mulhern, O'Keneela, McDonagh, McInbard, Freshen, they're four unbelievable forwards, four unbelievable players that have changed the narrative for Galway. So they're in a really, really strong place. I think overall, Cathal, I was driving up here this morning to do the podcast, and I saw a sun in the sky, I saw daffodils on the ground, and after seeing a rake of left-footed players this year in the league so far, and the attacking talent is there. I wouldn't be too negative if I was either Galway or Donegal yesterday. There's lots of workings there, but lots of positives for both as well.
Yeah, just on that 14-man versus 15-man thing, Eamonn, what would you be saying to a team that might have an extra man, particularly with these new rules? Because obviously Donegal managed it quite well being a man down yesterday. What would your message be to a team if they did have an extra man?
Yeah, I actually wrote a bit about this earlier on in the season in the Examiner, Cathal. I think there's huge possibilities there, and I don't see teams doing it at all yet. Like one of the things I definitely do on the opposition kick out. So we'll say yesterday now, Galway had the extra man. So when Donegal would be kicking out, I would put one of my forwards inside the goalkeeper. I put one of my inside men, whether, Oisín McDonagh or Rob Finnerty. Rob Finnerty is a very dangerous guy. So put him inside. I'd have him standing on the edge of the small square. And what's my thinking there? Number one, he can under the new rules. The second thing is Donegal then have a decision to make. They either put someone back and mark him, or they leave him free. Obviously, I think most teams would put a man back to cover him in case that they lost the kick out long. What does that mean? It takes two bodies out of the kick out mix, and you've an extra man outside. It becomes you're creating space, and you have the extra opportunity outside. So I think there's huge possibilities around that. I haven't seen anyone doing it yet. We did it in a couple of club games last year on a black card, and we got huge joy during that period. The other thing then, and I think Galway tried to do it yesterday, but it kind of backfired in them in that they tried to slow down the game during the red card phase and set attacks where they could make the extra body count. But it kind of almost forced them into conservative play rather than stretching Donegal. And Donegal really hunted numbers and with energy. And Damian mentioned it there about Rory coming on, and he was stuck in a lot of that stuff as well in terms of forcing turnovers. But I think that's the other thing you can do. You can just slow it down, set attacks. Like last year we saw when the goalie was coming up making it a 12v11, it was very hard for the defending team to defend in that situation. You have the same situation in a red card or a black card. It's an 11v10, and you should be working it so that you are getting kind of uncontested shots off or working a good opening for yourself. So that's what I'd be expecting to happen. But like I said, I think the one inside the goalkeeper and the opposition kick out, you can give yourself, you can certainly create the extra man outside, and you have a presence inside. Then if you win it, you can go straight inside as well.
I think on that call very quickly, if you are playing Donegal, that'd be an excellent thing to do, because they've, to me, like, they have 5 potential kick out pods to aim at. And they're probably stronger than most other teams in terms of their ability to win a kick-out. So you're reducing 1 or 2 of those options straight away. It's something that could be looked at.
And what's the next phase then, aiming off that, with that man on the edge of the square? Say you win the opposition kick-out. Is it deliver the ball in straight away, or will you try and run it with that extra space out there?
Yeah, either or, Cathal. You'd let it up to the players to decide, but you have the option very close to goals.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, imagine, a target player in that kind of a situation. Imagine Michael Murphy, imagine a David Clifford inside there. And if you win the kick out outside, the keeper's trying to get back into goals. There's a high ball coming in a 1-on-1 situation. It could cause carnage, or it could be just a player making a run from a deep position and picking the ball up, just coming out onto the 20-metre line. They're either very close to goals themselves, or they have runners coming in off the arc. But you're just a good bit closer to goal than you are if you're outside the arc and trying to get back in and get a bit of shape then straight away.
Fitzy, I can see in our presenter's eyes that this tactic could be used at Sligo Club Championship level in about 7 weeks' time.
Well, I would like to wait in on the edge of the square because I can't move anymore. But that was the game up in Ballyshannon. Mayo Armagh yesterday, lads, developed into a really good match. Mayo 2-17, Armagh 22 points. Eamonn, why can't Armagh win tight matches? We saw them win tight matches very regularly when they won the All-Ireland a couple of years ago, but it hasn't gone for them in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, it is. It is one of the conundrums of the league so far, because they are playing well and they are down a lot of bodies as well, Cathal. Like, that they have still the likes of Grugan, Andrew Murnan, McCambridge, McElroy, Aidan Farker's been back in the bench the last couple of weekends. So they still have players to come back into what they have. So the positive for Kieran McGeeney is that when they have everyone, they will have that deep squad that was the envy of so many for the last couple of years, even with the couple of retirements and the couple of lads moving away from the squad this year. But look, I think he was a bit bristly about it again yesterday himself in terms of the finishing. It's the goals really is what's catching them. They've 1 goal scored in the league. They're the lowest in the whole National League. Offaly, I think, have 2, but everyone else is more than that. So they're creating the chances, but they're not finishing them. And even in some opportunities, the highlights last night, there was a score in the second half. Ross McQuillan got a great score,
so
but he was straight through.
Yeah.
He was straight. Like he when he actually kicked the ball, I was watching it in the replay. He was practically on the penalty spot in a 1-on-1 situation. Like, you'd imagine in those situations, you have to go for goal. You have to try and bury it. And I know that they've been missing opportunities and maybe just wanted to keep the scoreboard ticking or whatever. But I think when they start finishing, because they're too good not to, they will be really dangerous. But yeah, they're in that relegation dogfight now themselves, Galway, Dublin, and they're playing each other. They're playing Dublin next, and Dublin are playing Galway, and they could all end up in 6 points possibly, and it could come down to scoring difference. You wouldn't know, but I think McGeeney, will be quite content with huge aspects, a lot of aspects of their play, but the scoring of the goals at one end and possibly the concession, I think they've 8 or 9 conceded at the other side, will be the things that he'll be looking at for championship.
That's it. As we were saying off air, a bit like Shane Lowry coming down that final straight. They're doing nearly everything right. It's only going to be a small. I wonder, are they overthinking it in terms of attack? Like, are they trying to force it just a little bit? I'm not sure.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a few games, and they certainly don't look to be playing with a freedom when they're attacking in terms of the mental thought process. So I wonder, are they just maybe overthinking that? It wouldn't take a huge amount to sort that out, but they're doing the battle between Connaughty then and was mostly Sam Callanan. That really stood out to me. It was class.
Callanan had a very good game, I thought.
He had a really good game,
Yeah.
and Connaughty broke through then a couple of times as well. It was an exciting game. Everybody's going on about, obviously, Kobe McDonald and the hype that he brings, but equally, I'd be looking at Keane McHale and Jordan Flynn has gone to another level, I think, too. And even Darragh Byrne is very, very understated performance all year. But anybody watching the Sigerson won't be surprised with Keane McHale. He's been absolutely lighting it up in horrendous conditions. His talent is shining out to me. So there's hype attached to Kobe, but sure, that's life.
Just on the Kobe thing, just even when he came on yesterday, like say for a Michael Murphy that comes on for Donegal and it gives the crowd this lift. This guy is 18 years of age. He's still in school and he gives them the lift that he gave them yesterday. It was involved in the goal.
He can do everything.
2 points. He can do everything. Yeah,
I see. He's running power. His skills, both sides. Both feet. His link-up play, his vision, and can shoot from distance. Very, very exciting player. But again, like Murphy and Kobe, they're at different stages of their careers. I think you have to enjoy both of them. Certainly we have to enjoy both of them this year. They're going to light up the game.
Yeah. Eamonn, that was a different type of win for Mayo yesterday, if you like, in terms of the weather was really bad. Armagh came roaring back at them in the second half, but they did show that bit of steel. I'm sure Andy Moran really happy with where they're at right now. But from what you've seen of Mayo so far, are they capable of maybe challenging for an All-Ireland, or is it too early to say?
I think Mayo are always in that conversation, to be honest, Cathal, because when they're playing at the top of their game, physically they're always so hard to match. And then when they have confidence and they have their supporters behind them and they have a momentum about them, they're hugely formidable. And even in the last couple of seasons, they've been slightly off, being way closer to where most of us probably would consider they should be. But it's been a hugely positive league for them so far. I think the players that Damian outlined there, them coming in, the experienced players that they still have around the place, a lot of those experienced players are, more impact players now, are coming on to guide the ship home rather than being the main men. Jordan Flynn really stepping up. I mean, like his kicking and his fetching and everything else, but his work rate and the turnover he forced for that critical goal. Like he went twice. He got the first tackle and it kind of spilled away. The Armagh fella recovered. He went after it a second time and got the turnover and then slipped it on to Kobe, and away they went and they got the goal. But I think their next game up is going to be a huge game. It's on the telly on the Saturday night below against Kerry and Tralee. And, they beat them above in Mayo last year, playing kind of a huge high press energy game. Andy Moran's even taken that to another level. He's got fierce belief back into the group. So that's going to be a cracker. And it'll, for Kerry, it'll probably mean if they can win, they're probably in the hunt for league final place. If they lose, probably not. So they'll be big time motivated as well. So so Mayo in a very good place. And they learned a lot above in Donegal, and you could even get that from the few references from Andy Moran after the game yesterday in terms of their kicking and just finessing it a bit and having angles on it and that kind of thing. So they're learning as they're going, but they've points on the board as well, which is a good way to be.
Andy's energy, you can see Monaghan miss him, and Mayo are embracing every bit about him. Like there's a great freedom there. I'd say their scoring is through the roof. They're exciting to watch.
2 pointers,
absolutely. Yeah, but again, it's the early in March.
I think they'll really want to stop Galway and Connacht actually this year because they've come up close.
Battle,
it is, and Roscommon are in the mix there as well. Eamonn, you mentioned Kerry. Probably going to be Kerry or Mayo. Whoever wins that game probably will end up in a league final. Is that's the way it's going to look? Kerry got through against Monaghan yesterday, 118-7. David Clifford came on and helped Kerry over the line. He kicked an outrageous outside of the left boot 2-pointer, which we don't see too often from him actually. The outside of the left boot, and he got a goal as well.
Usually, he's the outside of the boot. You might see him finishing for a goal, but in general terms, no, you wouldn't see it in match days too often. But it was a gorgeous score, and it was one of those ones that it was at the right side for the camera to catch us and for us all to appreciate how much curl and everything he got on it. But look, sure. I mean, what a luxury for Jack to be able to hold the likes of David back, and then for him to come on and score 1-3 and set up a few scores as well. So Kerry are in a good position, while at the same time, I think the expression Jack used himself after the game is they aren't pulling up trees at the moment, but they're doing enough. They're coasting along. They're getting players back. They've got action into a good few of the younger lads who would have been on the extended panel last year. It's positive. And like I said, I think both Andy Moran will be looking forward to that test now going down to Tralee, and Jack will be looking forward to welcoming them as well. It'll give them a good kind of gut check as to where they're really at.
Yeah, and it'll be defining enough game there. I suppose Austin Stack Park then as well. There's another 2,000 capacity going to be added onto that. Now, I won't be ready in time for that game, I'd say, but it's going to build into what'll be an unbelievable atmosphere.
Be a good Mayo crowd down as well.
It'll be a huge Mayo crowd. They'll travel in the rows for this,
yeah.
And they'll be there from an early stage too. So again, that probably will define who does get into a league final, but there's been hardly any word about Kerry at all. They're just, as Eamonn is saying, they're just moseying along their grand.
Yeah. Dublin, lads. Are Dublin back?
Well, like they were Jekyll and Hyde again against Roscommon, you know. I mean, they were way better, but I think what stood out to me this time was their tackling was up, and they covered the pitch very, very well. A few weeks ago, Gerard probably lit a rocket under a few of those lads, the more experienced lads, and they have responded in suit. But again, he's trying out a lot of new players. I think maybe 11 of that squad yesterday hadn't been in the league squad before. He's looked at 164 players, Carl. We know the stats, maybe 47 have seen game time, and there's still a freshness about the squad. But the elder lads, the older lads, more experienced lads, put in a shift yesterday. Roscommon will be very disappointed, though, you know.
They will, yeah.
They missed a couple of chances as well, so they'll be the downbeat over that.
And Dublin, it was a bit like the Dublin of old. They didn't kick a wide till the 25th minute, I think it was, Eamonn, and they were 14 points up then at that stage. That's like the Jim Gavin era.
Yeah, and I think, like Damian said there, I think the critical thing, and it's possibly why Gerard Brennan did have the bit of a lash, you know, that he mentioned afterwards. Maybe he should have kept his counsel, but for his thing to succeed, he needs to have those older lads showing the way. He needs them performing 7, 8, 9 out of 10, because if they're off, you know, the young lads aren't going to have the experience yet to know how to navigate those tricky ties against quality opposition in Division 1. So a lot of his bigger guns, you know, the likes of Merchant, Howard, Scully, Kieran Kilkenny, Sean Bugler, those experienced guys, they all played really well yesterday. And signs on then the likes of Luke Brannock and some of the younger Dublin players, they stepped up then as well. They were able to play kind of almost within themselves and play well, but they weren't expected to carry the fight. So I think that was a big part of their win yesterday. I saw Maurice Brosnan was writing this morning that they got 5 two-pointers in the first half yesterday, whereas they'd got 7 from 31 attempts, I think, previous to that in the other 4 games. So that was a big factor for them. And they've definitely been going after those twos. And if they start getting them, they'll be dangerous. And I'd actually love to see a study done on the two-pointers, called the Dr. Hyde Park must have the most two-pointers kicked in any ground in the country, because anytime there's a game on there's a big breeze, and teams seem to be very accurate at the same time. There's always a huge amount of two-pointers in games there. But very positive from Dublin. And just, you know, a week ago there was a lot of talk that they'd be probably going to Division 2. It was almost a given. Now all of a sudden they're in a quite strong position. It's in their own hands to hold on to their status, and if they keep going as they are, they've every chance of doing exactly that.
Yeah, like who are we looking at then, lads, for relegation? Dublin on to 4 points now, Galway on 4 points, Armagh on 2, and Monaghan yet to pick up a point. Monaghan probably heading for the trap door, but one more to join them, Damian.
Yeah, I mean, as Fitzy was saying, the next round of fixtures will tell an awful lot. Like, I mean, will it come down to between Dublin and Armagh, that game?
Yeah, it could do. And Dublin play Galway, I think, in the last round as well too. So, like, I mean, there's some big games coming there now.
I think between Galway play Monaghan, then you know, so you'd imagine that they will. So imagine Monaghan are in trouble, obviously gone, and you have to point out the fact that they've been missing so many players as well. The managers had to introduce a load of new talent into that team. It's obviously not going to happen overnight. And I'd say the relegation battle, nobody will want to go down, because Division 2 is not simple either.
Certainly not.
But I don't know, if Armagh can convert the chances that they're creating, you give them a chance of surviving it, but they'll need to fix that. Yeah,
it's going to be very, very tight. Division 2, lads, I mean, I couldn't get over that Derry Cork result yesterday. Derry 131, Cork 14 points. That's a Cork team that had won 4 games on the spin prior to that spin up to Celtic Park yesterday. I mean, it was just a bit of was it a systems failure, Eamonn, in the second half? Kickouts, they were really destroyed on their own kickout for a while in the second half, Cork.
Yeah, it looked like that. And look, Ian Maguire is a huge miss in that regard, Carl. He's been playing very well. And, you know, he just brings a steadying presence as well as his ability in the air in terms of their own kick out. And he is often a big kick out target for them. But you know, if you told me that Cork were going to lose above in Derry, absolutely, I could see that, you know, because they were down a few players. It's a long journey up. Derry are going really, really well. I think they've scored the most after yesterday now, and they've conceded the least across all 4 divisions. So there's a lot of very positive signs there from Derry. They're shifting the load off Shane McGuigan. A lot of those lads that we would have seen 2 or 3 years ago that we would have been admiring so much, they found their form again. They're playing really well. So losing up there wouldn't have been the end of the world for Cork, but I just think the manner of it is damaging, and quite possibly you could end up with 3 teams in Division 2 on 12 points, and only 2 of them obviously are going to go up, and it'll come down to the scoring difference, and that's kind of lost for Cork. Yesterday's put a fair hole in their scoring difference. Now, the one thing is, generally when you look at it like that and you're counting up wins and counting points, it doesn't happen that way. There's always some kind of an unusual result or a slip up in the run in at the end, but a damaging result for them. And I don't know, is it a good or a bad thing that they're going off out to Portugal this week on their kind of warm weather training? Like, it gives them the time and space to discuss it and process it and maybe bury it over in Portugal for when they come back, start to fresh again. But you'd like to be going, generally when you're going in those warm weather camps, there's very good vibe in the squad, and you like to have positivity surrounding the team, whereas it'd be hard enough now to be positive about that trimming above in Derry.
Would you just let lads go for a couple of pints after that when you get out to Portugal? Maybe
go back old school, maybe, for maybe a night, but I think you'd be knuckling down to the training field and using every minute you had then after that.
But just on the scoring difference, Damian, Cork now -7, Derry are on +46. That's miles ahead of anybody else.
Colossal, and there's head-to-heads and all that as well. So, it's a sobering. But Cork have been going really well up to this point, and they're still down a number of players as well. And I think Kieran Mina has really got a bit of intent back into Derry, no doubt about it. This is the sharpest they've been in a couple of years. Again, there was maybe a stretch of about 13 or 14 games where they weren't far off getting the win, but they've surpassed that now. They're back to maybe, I won't say back to where they were a few years ago, but they're heading in that direction. He's done a great job. But where do Cork go? Short 5 or 6. They obviously maybe don't have the depth in the squad that they wanted, so that'll be their challenge.
They've got Kildare and Tyrone to come Cork. The 3 of us were down in Newbridge on Saturday night, Eamonn. Meath, pretty handy win over Kildare in the end. Was that more down to Meath being impressive, or was it just a poor Kildare performance in your opinion?
Yeah, it was a mix of both, I think. To be fair to Kildare, Meath got a really strong start, and because of the fact that Kildare had underperformed above in Cavan the previous week, they possibly needed to start that Meath got to build a bit of kind of momentum and belief in their own team and get the crowd behind them and make it into a bit of a battle. But it looked like we were saying Saturday night, Meath were hugely impressive. You couldn't but be impressed with them from Sean Brennan out. So many of them are playing really well. They're very well coached. They're all very sure about what they're doing, whether it's in defence, around kickouts, around breaking ball, in attack, when the quick attack is on, when they go with it. When there's slow attacks, they're happy to do that. They're selfless. They're working hard for each other. They've players to come back into. So Meath, to be fair to them, are in a great position at the moment. And, they're going to take stopping. They're going to take stopping full stop if they can keep this level of momentum and belief and accuracy and everything else up. And form is the big thing. When you have so many players playing kind of close to the top of their form, the living is easy then, and there's just a great vibe around them. To be fair to Robbie Brennan, his personality and the way he is, and the management team, he's very smart guys, the likes of Conor Gillespie involved with him, the introduction of Aaron Kernan this year. There's a huge amount of positivity around Meath, you'd have to say.
Have to agree with every single sentence that Eamonn said there. To me, they looked brilliantly coached. Watching it from the sideline, the way they ate up ground, with or without the ball, first of all. Their kickouts, spectacular, and he got 5 points as well. The way they overload one side of the pitch and then exploit the space on the other. Jack Flynn, to me, a beast. Great defenders, Rafferty back, Lavin there in the squad as well, a tight marking cornerback. Donald Keown, but Brian Menton, to me, Jack Flynn got all the headlines, but Brian Menton got lettered 2 or 3 times, came back on the pitch on a horrible night in Newbridge where there was no need for him to be on the field, but he's clocked up over 100 appearances for his county recently, and it just showed to me the intent that it is there. And then up front, Jordan Morris, he drops so deep at times, and then 2 seconds later he's firing the ball over the bar. Owen Frayne is as intelligent as you'll see. Apart from Leinster being wide open, Cathal and Eamonn, I'd expect me to be right there at the end, because while they're playing with the freedom, they have an unbelievably great structure as well. And I think Aaron Kernan has added a huge amount to that. Shane Supple as well, by the way. I mean,
goalkeeper, yeah.
And he's worked his way up with the underage system in Meath for a long time. And he's a huge addition there too, with kickouts and goalkeeping coaching and overall coaching.
They're in a really good place. Damian, just before we finish on the football, Division 3 is becoming very, very tight now. Down look like they're going to get promoted. They're 5 from 5, but Westmeath losing to Laois this weekend really opens it up. And Wexford and Clare are in the promotion mix now as well.
Yeah, and I have to say, it's a division that hasn't got much attention so far, Cathal. I mean, obviously Laverty and Down are well ahead of the pack and they're motoring well, and the players that they have, you'd expect them to. But Jesus, the other teams are putting up a right battle. I mean, even from Laois upwards, it's open to see who joins down in Division 2 next year, because, and I've great respect for Clare, because I suppose a couple of years ago when Colin Collins moved away and a couple of players stepped away, that momentum could have been lost, but they're threatening back again at the moment. John Hegarty's done a fine job with Wexford. They were disappointed maybe not to get to the very, very penultimate or last stage of the Tailteann Cup last year. And it's not easy in these counties to keep the momentum going. And equally then Westmeath probably have the more resourceful playing pool of the lot. So it's up to them to string results together. But kudos to Wexford and Clare. They're boxing really, really high at the moment, and they deserve a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, Clare, Eamonn, a county you know quite well from Munster Championship meetings over the years, but they're still in the mix there.
Oh, they are big time, and they didn't have an ideal start, but they've fought back well, Cathal. And in Division 3, there's Wexford have to play both Clare and Westmeath yet. Down are purring along nicely, and again they're probably they've a couple of more gears they can go up through, but they look like that they'll get the job done and they'll get up. But who goes up with them then, in terms of Wexford having both Clare and Westmeath to play, and Westmeath away for that Wexford game as well. So all of that it's up to play for. And I think the thing with it as well is, with Kildare's form, you just don't know what's going to happen, and it kind of puts an extra premium on that number 1 spot in Division 3 for the Sam Maguire, because if you go up as the second promoted team and Kildare come down, obviously Kildare are going to take that 16th spot from the Tailteann Cup last year. So for Down, it is hugely important for them to finish off the rest of the league and to make sure they're in that number 1 spot, because I think at this stage of their development they'd feel like if they were playing the Tailteann Cup, it'd almost feel like a step back for them, because they're eyeing going the other way, I would be thinking.
Yeah, it's all to play for there in the next couple of weeks. And then in Division 4, Antrim with another win there this weekend, having got off to a difficult start. And then, as we mentioned at the outset, Longford getting the better of Carlow as well. So it's all to play for in Division 4 too.
Yeah, but I mean, it's never been anything but. I mean, Waterford is struggling with 0 points, but any other team on any given day, and even in the past few seasons, Waterford have given lots of teams surprises, So this time around, Carlow slipped up at the weekend, but you'd imagine Longford are next best place to get out of there. But Tip Wicklow, they'll have a lot to say about that just yet, because a bit like Fitzy was saying there with Clare, Tipperary got off to maybe dropped a couple of points that they're regretting now, but there's still a chance for them to push on.
Yep, it's all to play for, and we're at the business end now. But for now, Damian and Eamonn, thank you very much. We'll be back with Shane McGrath to talk hurling in just a second. Now, time to chat hurling, and glad to say that Rory has jumped into studio with us, and on the line as well, we've got Shane McGrath. Shane, how are you keeping?
Good, lads, and yourselves?
Grand. Now, you're out coaching soccer. Is that allowed? Is that allowed in Tipperary?
Still a foreign sport in Tipperary, but no. We were, I have to say, very well run competition, the FAI Soccer Primary School Blitz. So we were in a place called BT Harps in Templemore, Cathal. So we had a great day out, and very, very enjoyable now. The kids love it as well, and very well run, I have to say. So look, I'm all for all sports. Hurling will always be number 1 with me, but great to have them out and about playing sports. And I don't know what the weather's like up in the capital, but we had a lovely day in the southeast here today.
Yeah, Shane Long was a good hurler, wasn't he, back in the day?
Yeah.
Shane Long was a serious hurler, tip minor.
Yeah. So
Did he win an All Ireland, Shane? I think was he on that team?
He was
it with Brendan Maher and that gang around 06, 07?
You're on the ball. Yeah, you're on the ball. Yeah, he was. His club would be going to Hood, Glengool, Rory. Be mid-tip, be close enough to the border there, Kilkenny, but phenomenal. Like the story about Shane Long is that my understanding is they were coming when he was playing with Cork City at the time, and I think they were coming to look at Kevin Doyle, and I think Shane Long scored a hat trick the same day, and then he's in the right place, right time, took his chance. So the rest is history, as we say, for Shane Long,
Yeah,
it certainly is.
Well, that's your afternoon so far, but we're going to talk hurling now, Shane, and reflect on the weekend. Another weekend of pretty consequential fixtures in Division 1A. Limerick getting the better of Offaly, Galway winning that big game against Waterford, and then maybe we'll start with Cork and Kilkenny at Nolan Park, where Cork came through by 3-12 to 1-15. The weather wasn't brilliant, so that probably impacted the game as well. What did you make of the Cork performance? Obviously, they came in off the back of that bit of a break as well.
They're definitely bringing a fight to everything, Rory, aren't they? Like I know myself personally, Cathal, as a player, to try and go down to Nolan Park and get a result in anything is always difficult. And more often than not, we didn't get one. And it was very interesting to hear Ben say, even the teams he was involved in, that more often than not, they didn't get a result. And that would it be, Rory, would it be the first time in 10 years you've won
9 years,
down Nolan Park? Not that you're playing there all the time now, but
it's just, there's actually a stat there, Shane. Cork's second win in Nolan Park since 1987. That was Dennis Walsh in the Irish Times today.
That's been a graveyard for Cork teams, hasn't it, Shane? Like it.
Yeah, like I remember small things now, even when our group were kind of getting going, when Liam took us over, right? We bet Kilkenny in a league semi-final down in Nolan Park, and the confidence and belief we got from it was unreal. Now, more often than not, Kilkenny bet us, but the confidence we got from that to drive on and to do things as a group, I suppose. And then even like we went down to Páirc Uí Chaoimh that year, Rory, and we hadn't won a championship match in something like 83 years down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So
right, yeah.
while maybe to a lot of the outside public, these things mightn't be a big deal, to you as a group and internally, to tick a box that hasn't been ticked for a long time, it's unreal the belief you get it. And you could see how happy Ben was with the result. You could see the fight they brought. I have a list of players here that they didn't have that probably will be on their championship team. And I'll throw out a few of them just to let people know. Robert Downey, Patrick Collins, Mark Coleman, Shane Barrett, Shamie Harnedy, Decky Dalton, Diarmuid Healy. There's all lads that weren't involved there yesterday that will be very close to being on the Cork championship team. And to do that without all those lads, with the nature of the game, with the way the weather was, with the way the pitch was, I just think it's a massive result for Cork. And I'd say that win, Rory, for Ben and that group, I think that'll mean as much to them as anything he has done in recent times with Cork, because they're up for the fight, they can mix it, they can hurl, but you know what? They'll get some belief from that victory and the manner of the victory as well, because they had to fight it out. I counted 9 goal chances, lads. And if that, I'm just going to say this now hypothetically, if that was a dry day, if it's 3 or 4 degrees warmer and the ball is hopping, I think Cork score 5 or 6 goals there. And whether that's questions that Kilkenny have to ask themselves of their defence, I don't know. I just think it shows where Cork are at, lads. I just think, as I said, I don't think much needs to change for them to win in All Ireland. I think it just on one half of hurling does not make you have to change the whole world. And I just think that's why they are, they're still going to be the team to beat, maybe, Then obviously we see what Limerick are doing as well, but I just thought the manner of it, you have your new guys on there, Rory, I mean, Barry Walsh didn't look out of place.
No.
I think Hugh O'Connor will learn a lot from it. I think on another day Hugh O'Connor scores maybe 1-4, 1-5 handy. So that's a big learning for him. I think William Buckley, I've seen him firsthand and up close and personal in college hurling. I think this guy ticks a lot of boxes. And I think your full-back conundrum, is going to be positioned between two people now, in my opinion. I think either Robert Downey or Darragh O'Leary are going to be your fullback. And I think whichever one of them gets the number 3 jersey, I think is a serious fullback with, for me, Kieran Joyce out in front of them. So that's your 3-6 problem. Well, not a problem, but maybe something that you've kind of maybe struggled with to get, like, since Ronan Curran has stepped away or since The Rock and these lads. So all those things being said, awesome performance, or not my performance, but like brilliant victory. But I don't know, lads, what your thing on the Kilkenny is at the moment, right? So, or where they're at. So just quickly for me, because I know you want to jump in, but I went through the All-Ireland semi-final last year and who the best performers were for Kilkenny against Tip in their championship team. And their best performers were Mossy Keown, 6 points from play, Owen Cody, 2 points from play, and TJ was on the freeze that day. And Kilkenny was very good that day as well. The last day I was down in Nolan Park for Kilkenny and Waterford, lads. The best performers, and I just had the programme here, the best performers that day for Kilkenny were Mossy Keown, 1-3 from play, and Owen Cody, 2 points from play, and Cian Kenny scored 6 points, 5 frees. The point I'm trying to get to here is the day that Owen Cody and Mossy Keown aren't firing for Kilkenny are the day they're in trouble. And I just don't see anyone else stepping into the breach just yet. I think Cian Kenny is a top player and a real leader for Kilkenny now, but I just don't know who's coming in to fill that void or fill the gap, who's going to be a top performer for him in the other 3 or 4 positions in the forward line. And I'd be interested to get your take on it as well. But that's how I feel where they're at the moment. Who were Kilkenny missing? Well, obviously Owen Murphy was missing. Adrian Mullen. But as I said before, lads, people say TJ was missing. But I'm playing Masters Hurling now, and you can be 40 or over to play Masters Hurling, and TJ Reid is 1 year off being able to play Masters Hurling. And the day TJ Reid plays Masters Hurling is the day I'll probably leave the Masters Hurling off, because I don't want to be marking him in Masters Hurling. So I don't know, I'd be interested to get your take on it, but that's how I feel where they're at now. If Mossy's not firing, or if Owen Cody's not firing, who's stepping in to take on the mantle of it, like so?
Well, like, one of the things that jumped out for me in relation to Kilkenny, I sometimes wonder, have they maybe suffered a little bit in terms of the pitch of their game by being in a province that's not as competitive as Munster and in a championship context? But then you kind of have to say to yourself, well, look at their performances when they come into All-Ireland semi-finals, and they've been in recent finals as well.
They've been very close in the last couple of All-Ireland semis.
This is it. Like, I mean, they were like, Oisin O'Donovan and obviously Darren McCarthy, and then it was very, very close against Tipperary last year in that semi-final. The year before, it took a Herculean effort by Clare in the second half to overturn them and knock them out. But I think that's always the way with Kilkenny. I think Brendan Cummins has this great saying, which I love, and it was the same again yesterday. You nearly need to be 10 points better than them to beat them by 1.
Yeah.
And you will always get honesty. You will always get the sort of non-negotiables. They are really hallmarks of every single Kilkenny team. It's just a given. But do they lack the kind of quality that maybe some of the other counties have? Have they a lack of pace? Are they going to miss you, Lawlor? When the thing speeds up a wee bit come summer, could they be found out?
Well, even
Shane
yesterday
mentioned the numbers of goal chances that Cork potentially could have had, maybe fluffed 1 or 2 lines yesterday. So, I don't know, like, I think there's a sort of a confluence of issues facing them in that, and I'm not even that certain, like, going into this year's Leinster Championship, if you were to ask me, will they go on and win it again? I would probably say no. But anytime you back against them,
Rory, could I say something there, right? Even if Kilkenny are poor, they will still get out of Leinster.
100%, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that for me is like, if you are poor in Munster, okay, and I know people might, like, we're going on about Munster again, but you are not getting out of Munster if you have 2 bad days. You're not getting out. And Leinster is just different in that regard, and that Kilkenny.
But is it doing them any favours, Shane?
They will still, but they'll still be top 3. They'll still be top 3. Whether, like, say, if the Leinster final was on next week, who would I fancy to win it? I'd still probably say Kilkenny. because they just as you said, Rory, you know what they're getting from him the whole time.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is they just don't have the same backup as what they had before. If one or two of them wasn't firing, the other 3 or 4 would be brilliant. What I'm saying is nowadays, maybe if the 1 or 2 aren't firing, where's the rest? Where's the firepower coming from the rest? That's what I'm saying. Like, they are getting to All-Ireland semi-finals, but they're getting to All-Ireland semi-finals fresher, maybe not having to go through what the Munster teams have to go through. And like, I'm sure people are watching this now or listening now, or they'll be listening during the week going, you're on about Munster again. It is what it is. Like, Munster Championship is cutthroat. It's so hard to get out of it. And Kilkenny could be at 70% and they will still be a top 3 team in Leinster, and they'll come through and they'll still be hard to beat in All-Ireland semi-final. But I just think if they didn't get to an All-Ireland semi-final automatically this year, I think they could find it harder to win a quarter-final, just because of the lads that are missing, the likes of Hugh Lawlor not being there, I believe Billy Ryan will be back come championship, what I'm hearing. But I just don't think they have the same quality and depth as what they've had before to get these jobs done. I don't know, would you agree or disagree with that?
But I mean, for all of that, lads, Cork still needed that late goal from Alan Walsh, leapt up and caught a great ball at the very end to kind of get themselves through yesterday. And
3-12, I mean, 12 points. No, it was a very low scoring game anyway. I think it was like 110 to 8 points with 20 minutes to go, which is very un-hurling like these days. But it was largely, like, to go back to the original question to Shane, and in terms of what will have pleased Ben O'Connor most, it was a proper battle. I mean, this was in the trenches. It was hand to hand. Look, I'm not going to go there in terms of the way hurling is going in a general context. I wouldn't be particularly a fan. I think there's probably
Why?
I think there's more pulling and dragging in hurling now than there ever was in football. And I always remember a lot of hurling snobs, let's call them, and maybe I consider myself one of them. They used to scoff at football for all the pulling and dragging. Sure, who'd watch that? It's only all pulling and dragging. There's more pulling and dragging in hurling now than there ever was in football. And
why has that happened?
I think largely because the game has become an aerial game. So the ball isn't on the deck as much anymore. It's from waist up. So if you're going to tackle for possession, you're going to be tackling from waist up, which means you have these grappling contests and this sort of arms around and pull, drag, pull an arm here, pull a drag there. I don't particularly like it. I think the GA, as usual, haven't kept pace with the rate of change that the game has evolved with, and the rule book has become slightly out of date. The definition of a tackle in hurling now, what is it? What is it anymore? But look, that's just, I suppose, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Maybe other people saw that and thought, yeah, sure, that's great stuff. Isn't that like, all this stuff? And by the way, I wouldn't be a fan as well of the way the game was refereed. I thought, again, we're going to try and pick up on little plays of the hurley here, and we'll let everything go, and we'll just allow, I'll pull then for the real technical stuff, but I'll miss blatant stuff then, like on 2 occasions, I think. Darragh O'Leary was on 1 occasion and Owen Downey on another. Blatantly picked the ball up off the ground. No foul there. And then we're blown for this sort of technical stuff where, you played the hurley type thing. But other than that, flake away, lads, and absolutely pull and drag to your heart's content.
But is that not where the referees need help in terms of defining the tackle? Possibly. Look, players, and look, Shane will be in a much better position to adjudicate this than I would. But players know. So let's say if you have a Johnny Murphy reffing, they know his form and they know what they're going to get away with. Fergal Horgan, who I actually did think was an outstanding ref, and he was a big loss, by the way, to the GAA in a general sense, because I think he obviously played at a very high level. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shane. I thought he was an excellent ref because he got the balance right between what you could get away with. But I think like a lawless type contest, which again we saw last year in the Munster final, again yesterday, the same referee again. Look, I don't know. It certainly wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing. But then again, look, it's winter hurling this time of the year. The pitch was heavy. Which is very unusual actually for Nolan Park. Normally it's a good pitch. I think, look, from a Cork perspective, I think Ben would have got quite a lot out of it. Barry Walsh, great story behind Barry.
You know,
got his goal yesterday.
Yeah, I got the goal yesterday. You know, had a had a tough couple of years there. So big shout out to him and Alan Walsh coming on. So they have, you know, like I think Hugh O'Connor, Shane mentioned, that was a major plus. Obviously, getting him to choose hurling over football was a major coup, because he would have been such an asset, particularly for the footballers. So that was a big boost, and I think he could be a bolter yet. But like I think, look, the battle was the thing that he cherished the most, and I think they would have gone home no different to what Shane said, much happier than what his reaction after, we'll say, the Waterford game versus what, you know, he would have felt after yesterday's contest. Night and day, chalk and cheese.
Yes. Just on Rory's point there, Shane, about the state of the game right now, what do you think?
I think it was never played probably faster, never played by players or athletes in such condition as we have in the last 2 years. I'll give you an example, Carl, right? I was involved in the 2014 final, and after about 8 or 9 minutes, I was at the peak of my fitness now, and I was absolutely wrecked tired, right? And I thought, this game can't get any faster. Like, it can't, like, but even chatting to Kenny boys after as well, and you know, a lot of them said, geez, no, 10 minutes, you look up at the clock. It was just bang, bang, bang. And then, like, I look at, like, say, even the final that went to extra time, the Clare final 2 years ago, and the pace of that game, and even the pace of some of the things that were going on last year. And I think it's gone to another level now. So I agree with what Rory's saying, because I think the game is being played faster now by stronger and faster athletes. The execution rate of ball to hand has gone through the roof, because the game is played zonally now, right? If you look at every defence now, when do you ever see, and I'm a coach myself now, and I wouldn't want to see it either, when do you ever see a cornerback get the ball in 21 and let it down the field? Honestly, no, lads. Would you see it like? Would you see Sean O'Donovan do it?
No.
They're not doing it like, because the way it is now is you must get it to a delivery zone. And then when you get it to that delivery zone, which is usually the 45-yard line, you're playing a percentage ball into the forwards, or else you're carrying the ball. So if you see a ball going in now, it's far and few between, lads, that they're 50-50 anymore. So you're kind of maybe losing a bit of the excitement, or a bit of the breaking ball stuff we used to see so much of. And it's not a million years ago, because why? Because teams now are set up to give nearly a 70-30 ball in the whole time, because they're getting into that zone. They're either carrying it, working little triangles, giving a quality ball in. What's happened? The other half-back line have come out the field. Why? Because 10, 11, 12 have come out the field. So it's rare enough now you're getting a 6v6 inside the 45 with a 50-50 ball coming in. If ever, I would say. And maybe a bit of the excitement, or a bit of that, you know, breaking ball, where's it going, left or right thing, is gone out of it. But it's because of the way the game is played. It's been played by athletes, such powerful athletes. Like, I joke there with lads there, you know, the college lads, right? And they'd be asking me, what did you bench press like, right? And I was never the biggest man,
What
right?
what did you bench press, Shane?
No, honestly, lads, I would say 75 kgs was the most, right? These lads are doing that for a warm-up. Okay? This is their, like, you know, we throw up 80 down the bar, 3 sets, 6 for a warm-up, and they're going, I would be afraid nowadays to play. Now, maybe you would have adapted with the times, no more so than any sport, and done the gym more and everything, but if you're realistically now, right, and like the likes of Adam Screening are an outlier to this, because he's just class. But otherwise, if you're not 6'2", 6'3", and if you're not doing all that, your chance of playing inter-county have become very, very small nowadays.
Isn't that
why?
Is that a good thing?
Because of the way the game has been played, I think. You know?
Is that a good thing?
No.
Yeah.
I like. Would Joe Dean make the Cork team now?
Cha Fitz.
Would Cha Fitz be midfield for Kilkenny now?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, would Kevin Broderick be playing for Galway now? Like, unless you're a certain type of athlete now, it's harder, much harder, just to go in based on your skill set if you're not doing all the other things as well. And the game is just being played differently. The way the zonal thing is, the way that delivery zone is, the way the ball in is. Like, I think trying to play in full back line now, fair play to anyone. I thought Sean O'Donovan was absolutely immense yesterday, by the way,
He was
Rory.
good. He was
Like,
good. Yeah.
for me, he was nearly man of the match.
Yeah.
I know Brian Hayes got it, like, but to try and mark 40 yards of space in front of you with a lad that can cover maybe 100 meters in, not being joking, like in 9 or 10 seconds, who weighs 84 kg and is 6'2". My worst nightmare now would be trying to mark Brian Hayes. I don't know how I'd mark him, lads.
It was a tough one yesterday as well. It was a
you know-
tough one for Mikey Kerry, was fullback, wasn't he, for Kilkenny yesterday. Direct ball in as well for Cork yesterday led to, I think, 2 of the goals at least, and there was a penalty that they actually missed off it as well. So they used that to really good effect yesterday.
And they'll continue to do it. But I think, look, that's part of, I suppose, if you're looking at the missing piece, and like they've been in the last 2 All-Ireland finals. They won the Munster Championship last year, albeit on a penalty shootout. Won the league. Like Shane was mentioning to me, and we were chatting there in texts last night. I think they probably have 1 foot in the league final at this stage.
Well, they're on to 8 now, aren't they?
Unless there's a scoring difference, crazy scoring difference happens over the next couple of games.
They're back in the league final, so like there's not a huge amount wrong. I suppose it's just trying to, like, they kind of have to be all things to all things to all people. They have to be able to mix it. They have to be able to play on the edge. They have to be play it direct when it's necessary, play the short game when it's necessary, and they have to make sure that that's all picture perfect on the one day, and that one day is the day that we all know at this point. So, like, I don't know if there's a huge amount of mystery about them anymore. I think, like, to, I suppose, wrap it up, he has an incredible depth of quality now available to him as well. And I think that'll be another massively pleasing aspect from yesterday.
Yep. So that's
Cork
Kilkenny,
League.
Cork.
Get out of Munster now, we'd be happy, Shane. Be one of the 3, that's all.
Just on the table, because we mentioned it there. So Cork are 4 from 4. They're on 8 points. Limerick next on 6. Then you've got 4 teams on 4 points. You've got Galway, Tip, Kilkenny and Waterford on 4. And then Offaly yet to pick up a point at the end. And just on Offaly, Limerick beat them yesterday by 19 to 17 points. That was a decent enough Offaly performance, in fairness to them. Like, I mean, they've struggled with bodies during the course of the league. John Kiley said that Limerick probably were a small bit off it yesterday. Probably the real lot on the copybook for them was that injury for Darragh O'Donovan yesterday.
Yeah, an AC injury, lads, is... I did my shoulder, AC injury in my shoulder before, and like, say, you could, like, Darragh will do everything right to come back, but there's very little he can do, bar give it time, right? And like, no matter how, and you probably noticed yourself, Cathal, from playing, no matter how good he feels, and even pucking around now, he won't be even able to puck around like for a while because of the nature of the injury.
Well, the only test of that is when you get a belt on it again, isn't it? And see how it is.
The first test of that for Darragh O'Donovan is a shoulder.
Yeah.
And if he's in an A versus B, or he's playing whatever inside, if someone like Will O'Donoghue hits him a cruncher, that's it. He could be gone again for another 3 or 4 weeks. So it's just the nature of the injury for him. But I think progress for Offaly, lads, is the performances have been steadily getting better. Like, it was 12.7 at half time yesterday. And like, say, Shane O'Brien gets the goal in minute 54 and that's it, it's done. But like, even getting the likes of Donald Shirley, Killian Sampson, getting them back on the field, getting time into them. I think progress is relative, and the progress for Offaly has been that their performances have been getting better. I was down and watched, I was at the game until more they played Tip. Very, very poor. But since that then, they played better against Waterford, played better against Limerick. They also have, the likes of Charlie Mitchell. Like, this guy, he'd be on most inter-county squads, maybe pushing for teams. He's a massive loss to them as well. So getting him back as well in a while will be a massive plus. So I think the Offaly management, I think Johnny Kelly will be quietly happy, Cathal, that they have been getting better with their performances. But the Liam McCarthy top level hurling, it's ruthless stuff, like,
And they're back down to 1B, but it mightn't be that big a deal for them to be playing in 1B next year.
No.
Cathal O'Neill, very impressive yesterday at midfield, drove through brilliantly for a goal as well when he made that late burst from deep. What can he develop into a player now that can take a position around there in the middle?
He has it all. He has it all.
Physically, he looks a lot stronger now as well.
He's just an outstanding player. Like, and he's well established now in the Limerick senior team. Like, I suppose it's just trying to find the best position for him. He could look, and he's so versatile, and he's so accomplished pretty much in all the different attributes. So he can play anywhere in that middle 8. But I probably midfield is nearly his best position. I would suggest, Shane. Is it?
I'd play him in the half forward line.
Would you?
He gave a solid exhibition for UL in the Fitz final. That space up in Croke Park just seems to suit him down to the ground. I just think he's athletically, he's so strong, he's so big. He has all the hurling, he ticks all the boxes. I think he's most comfortable and most at home in the half forward line, whether that's at 11 or 10. Personally, I'd probably play him at 11 because I just think he asks so many questions of the other 6, whether it's him drifting out, getting on ball. You see how strong he is there yesterday when he's running at you. He has that step left or right.
Yeah.
Like, I'd hate to see him coming at me, like, you know what I mean? So that's where I play him. I'd play him at 11. Like, I know Aidan O'Connor is absolutely flying it, but Aidan could play 10 or 12 for you. We can see with Garrod and Tom now, lads. It's very clear to see. Well, from where I'm watching, Garrod started the last against Tip. Tom came on around the minute 50, 52. Tom started yesterday. Garrod came on for him around 54, 55 minutes. So I think what you're going to have with those two outstanding servants to hurling is one will be a starter and the other will be the finisher. And like whoever it is, probably Garrod, maybe if he's the starter, and you think you've everything done after 50, 53 minutes on him, and next thing Tom Morrissey comes on and like Tom Morrissey, I heard it was a great quote. I think Pat Ryan from Limerick actually, he said if Tom Morrissey had a shot to take and his life was on the line, he'd run out to the sideline to take the shot because he's so accurate from those angles off his left hand side. It's phenomenal. So I think that's what you're going to see with those two. One will be a starter and one will be the finisher. And if they can both be happy in those roles, I think it's a serious plus as well, because that's what Limerick maybe need to push on from their performances from last year, is the lads coming in and the lads challenging the boys who are starting. The finishers coming in to finish off the job. The bomb squad, I heard them referred to as before. So that's when they were at their peak, lads. They had 4 or 5 lads coming on and they were just contributing so much. I think that's what they have again this year, to be honest.
And they could end up like myself and Shane would have discussed this many times, but I don't particularly like when teams have to meet each other too often. It can create.
So what you're Cork and Limerick could be.
Well, it could be 3 times in the space of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we know that they're going to meet in the second round of the Munster Championship, and we know they're going to meet in the next round of the league. So, and
tis like going on a first date 3 times, Rory. The element of surprise is gone after the second one. You know exactly what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's definitely no mystery there anyway. But like it's, look, I don't know. Is it something that the GA possibly should look at? You know, I'm not entirely sure it's healthy because.
Is there an incentive to reach the league final?
Well, yeah, like, and all of those types of things, mate. Like, look, there is a little bit of a gap now from the league final to the beginning of the championship. So, I think it's always been a much coveted medal. You have won, Shane, haven't you? Have you a league medal?
Yeah, we beat Galway in 2008. That's the last time Tip won it, actually.
There you go. Like, you know,
18 years ago now.
Hard to believe that. Yeah, Liam was talking about that here recently. That how important that was for Tip at the time too.
And it is. It's a beautiful medal to win, and it's a nice one to get. But I just think, that sort of proliferation of repeat fixture, particularly with the Munster teams, like it could, in theory. So, let's just say, Farrell, play it out. Your league round robin game, you meet in a league final. You meet in a Munster round robin. You could meet in a Munster final, and then you could meet again in the All-Ireland series.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't think it has happened where a team has played each other 5 times over the course of a season. I'm not too sure it's a desirable outcome either.
Yeah, it's like a rugby test series, nearly. The way that's working out there.
It's a good analogy.
Just get your thoughts, Shane, as well on Waterford. Puzzling display from them again yesterday. Not taking anything away from Galway's win over them in Salt Hill, because that was a really important 2 points for Galway. But Peter Queally, the Waterford manager, at a loss really to explain their performance again yesterday, which was probably more akin to their display against Cork first time out.
Yeah, and like Galway were by far the better team here yesterday. Like that scoreboard didn't reflect through the distance between the teams, lads. Like a couple of small things now, right? Waterford didn't score anything from minute 11 until minute 30. Okay, now not anything, free anything, right?
And that's with the win, Shane, isn't it?
That's with the win now, right?
Yeah.
From minute 10 to 35, they don't score a point from play. So they scored a free in that time, all right. But like that is some time, like, to go from minute 10 to minute 35 and only get a point from a free. And I was down the week before when they had the win against Kilkenny, lads, and they in the first maybe 24 or 5 minutes they had 3 frees on the board with the wind. So it's obviously an area that they find it hard to take full advantage of the wind with their scoring execution. So, and like, to be fair to Billy Nolan, only for him, like, he made a top class save there from Keenan Fahey. Do you remember that in the second half? Keenan Fahey's going through, top drawer save. His save from Aaron Ireland's penalty. I don't know if people realise the wind was strong. Aaron Ireland hit that on the money to Billy Nolan's wrong side. To his wrong side, by I mean Billy Nolan naturally wants to dive to the left, his left, and Aaron Ireland puts it to the right. So Aaron Ireland does everything right with the penalty, and Billy Nolan steers that around the post. And that's like, that would have been another 2 goals. And, like, as I said, only for Billy Nolan, I think this is way, way worse. Almost an embarrassing scoreline for them, to be honest. So they just, like, they hurled, like, I was at the match against Kilkenny for Waterford, and they hurled so well from maybe the minute 25 on, but still got nothing out of the game.
Yeah.
Still didn't get a result, still didn't even get a point out of it. And that's a killer for a team, lads. To know you hurled well, know you've done a lot of things right, ticked a lot of boxes, worked hard, and still not to show from it from the game.
But Shane, but Waterford have Tip at home next week. It's a game that they have to win.
And I'm telling you
now,
not to put pressure on them. I'm telling you, I think Tick are going to be so thick from everything that happened in Simple Stadium against Limerick. I think there's a big performance coming from the Tip lads. Okay. I think internally themselves, like Liam Cahill will obviously, he'd be very honest with them and they're very honest with him. But I don't know there's much need to be said after the beating we got from Limerick. Like, and the players will know that themselves. So I think for those reasons, and, we had the week off watching everything that's going on. And, at the same time knowing if you lose this game, well, then you're trying to play Kilkenny the following week. And you just don't know, is the threat of relegation looming, like, because Waterford would have to head-to-head to you. So I just think with all those things being said, I think Tip are going to come with a big performance now next week. And I think Waterford will as well, because they would have felt they let themselves down. And look, it's relegation. It's do or die now for Waterford against Tip.
Yeah, it's all on
this
the line
is their last game. Waterford are done after next week. They don't play in the final round of games because they've all their games played. So I think it'll be a good game, but I honestly do feel there's a big performance coming from the Tip lads. And it is a bit of a head scratcher for Peter Queally, because, as I said, it just looked totally different from what I seen the performance wise, especially in the second half against Kilkenny. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one for them. I suppose the positives, Kyle, quickly is you got Tyg de Burka back in the field. That's a massive plus. Say Cathal Mullaney was playing there again yesterday. Come on. I believe Ozzy's not too far off it. So if we're going to see Ozzy, maybe do we see him next week? Does he make some appearance against Tipperary? And the roar he'll get if he comes on blowing Walsh Park, and that'll be another 1%er for him. So for me, I think they have to get Marcus Sturl back out to number 6 as well. I think that's his best position. I know Conor Prunty's a massive loss in the full back, but I think that guy has to be back out to 6 for him as well. And a lot of good things come from there. Have Jamie Barron in front of him, maybe Tyg de Burka as well. Who knows? You got Ozzy back in the team, and you have Desi Hutchinson at 14, and that's what good teams are, lads. Good teams have a really strong spine and they build around them.
Yeah. And
I think if you had that spine for Waterford, you could build around it, didn't you?
Okay, well, that's a huge game for them next weekend against Tip at Walsh Park. 1B this weekend, Clare securing their place back at 1A next year. They beat Carlow. Dublin winners away to Antrim, and another good win for Kildare, this time on the road against Down. So things shaping up there in Wexford. Play Clare next weekend, so that's going to be a big one in terms of the promotion picture as well. Just before we finish up, lads, just wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of things from the GAA Congress over the weekend on the hurling front from a rule change point of view. Descent rule, Rory, being brought in, the freeze will be brought forward by 30 metres. Now, you'd better be careful to be given out about referees. Yeah. But that's going to come in. Prelim quarterfinals as well. No more. Gone. Is that a good move? That's
a great move. And I think they've given the beaten provincial finalists home advantage in that quarter final now as well, which I think is a good incentive, because it just adds a little bit of luster and something to, that little bit of extra, I suppose, to play for. to try and win your provincial championship too, and try to make a final. So I think they've been some positives, and there's all very, very worthy in terms of the dissent rule is always good, because I do think referees shouldn't have to be putting up with any abuse. I'm not abusive towards referees.
No.
We should make that point. It's just obviously we might have a different philosophy around how the game should be adjudicated. That's the only point I'd make there. But the dissent, it's really good. Getting rid of those prelims. Look, they were a disaster because it killed the Joe McDonagh. And look, the other thing I'd probably look at now, they won't do it, is there's no reason now, if they're not tied into the Liam McCarthy, to stretch that competition out a little bit more, give it a small bit more breathing space, and put the final on before an All-Ireland semi-final. That doesn't involve Cork, obviously, because it might be a bit of a squeeze in terms of tickets. But the other one will always be, if it's largely Kilkenny, whoever it is, there'll be plenty of room to put the Joe McDonagh final in there and give it a much bigger platform and a much bigger profile. And look, all positives in a hurling sense. Even the election of the president coming from what we would largely consider a hurling county in Wexford, I think is another good positive, because he's got a bit of a job of work to do, I would suggest. I thought they spoke quite well about it last night on Allianz League Sunday, and I would definitely echo some of the views in that, that there needs to be serious work done now, not just lip service. It looks like Munster is steaming ahead, and I mean steaming ahead in terms of quality, in terms of standard, and
So what work needs to be done in your estimation?
I don't. Again, there are people far better qualified to make an appraisal on that, but to try and, if you look at the hurling landscape right now, the game is largely non-existent. If you draw a line from Galway to Dublin, the game is largely non-existent above that, right? That to me is definitely the first starting point, in that, like, what's going on with the game? We often hear, certainly people from Ulster, refer to themselves as Gaels, right? Well, what are they actually doing about hurling? What is going on with hurling in Ulster? That to me is an obvious starting point. They're either serious about the game or they're not. And if they're not, then that's fine. But make a decision around this. Donald Cusack, again, on League Sunday, many years ago, made a suggestion, which I didn't necessarily think was a bad one, around the notion of a divisional team like they have in Cork and Kerry, whereby Ulster would compete at Liam McCarthy Cup level as a combined entity. And it was poo-pooed, and it was slaughterhoused as a stupid idea.
You've got Antrim and Down both playing in 1B this season.
Yeah, but where are Antrim going? Are Down really a Liam McCarthy Cup level team?
Well, they would say that they have the potential certainly to be if they got enough exposure in 1B, I'm sure.
But that's something that we've been listening to, with all due respect, Cathal, for probably 140 years. I think if people are really serious about developing hurling, and that means keeping your eye on the ball in a lot of the big Leinster counties as well, but if people are really serious about developing the game, you're going to have to be fairly radical, just like they were with the FRC, right? They were very radical in their approach, and it was hugely successful. If you're serious about the development of hurling, you're going to have to be equally as radical and equally outside the box, and maybe upset some, golden calves and golden cows. Because if you keep doing what you have always done, we know what the definition of that is. And I think if Derek Kent does anything over the course of his 3 years, if he leaves any type of legacy that puts hurling into a better place, then I think he'll have done a good job.
Shane, final word to you.
Look, it's the fastest game in the world, played on grass, and it is a hard game to get good at.
Yeah.
But if the culture isn't there in the place to really want to get good at it, it's even harder. And I just think asking one person in the form of Willie Maher to try and solve this.
It's not on Willie, Shane.
Right? No, it's not, but he is the front of house for it, Rory. Do you know what I mean? And I just think I'd say financially, there's a figure there, and that has to be multiplied by 4 or 5 to try and do what they really want to do. You got to get bodies on the ground. You got to get people there. And as Rory said, I'd agree too. The place itself has to really want to get good at it and get it. It's a harder game to pick up. I see it firsthand, lads, in school. You throw a football out there, it's no bother. Everybody can play. But if you throw helmets on them, give them a stick, and ask them to hit a small ball, it's harder. It's a harder thing to get good at, and it does take time and it does take patience. But it also does take a lot of people, a lot of good people on the ground doing it, and that's what they need. And I just think the way they're going about it now, with just say Willie Maher going around and having him to be as I said, the spokesperson for it, there just needs to be more people in different places showing what to do, pushing it. And as I said, the places itself wanting to get good at it, because it is a hard game, lads, to get good at, and it does take time, does take patience, does take a few little hurt fingers and a few slaps and a few not good days, and you have to move on. And look, I suppose it's just built into us here in Tateport. It is in a lot of places. Will hurling ever be as popular as football, Gaelic football in Ireland? No, it won't. But
it can be more popular than it is now, though.
But could we make it more popular?
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's what we'd love to see.
One small anecdote to finish, Cathal, because I know we've gone on a bit on this, but like I'm coaching the mighty under 12s there now with St. Pat's down a bit, and it was a Gaelic football club for over 100 years. So so we're hurling is we've started the juvenile levels and the academy and growing it organically. So we're kind of into grading games now with under 12s, and we were playing Vincent's recently. St. Vincent's, who would have a good tradition of hurling, and they were unbelievable now. They were absolutely outstanding, like just the way they were coached, and just like absolutely top class, top quality young lads, brilliant coaches, really good people, and something that we obviously could learn from. But we got chatting afterwards, and he said, "Look, what's going on in the schools?" And I said, "Well, not a whole pile really." He said, "Well, our lads are going into the schools, and they bring the hurleys with them. And they're out in the yard at lunchtime playing hurling, right?" And I said to my young fella, I said, "Well, do you want to bring your hurling into school?" He said, "No way, the principal won't allow it." So
that's a culture kind of thing, isn't it?
Principals and tip are sound, I hear.
But that's the very point, Cathal. It is a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Like in the Dublin context, by and large, we always see the stories about Kilkenny lads and all the hurleys outside the classroom door. You do that in a Dublin context where there isn't a tradition or a culture of it, and all of a sudden you have a principal worried about a compensation claim or a window broken, and just the culture isn't there. And trying to build that and develop that,
well, that's the challenge, isn't it?
Is a huge challenge.
Yeah, well, we could talk about it all day, lads, but for now, thanks a million. Just before we go, a reminder that you can get in touch with us at sportpodcast@rte.ie on email, and please like and subscribe where you can, wherever you get your podcast. Reminder, the live game is hurling this weekend on RTÉ television, Saturday night from Salthill, Galway against Kilkenny. We'll be back with the podcast again Monday to review all of the weekend's action. But for now, thanks for listening, and thanks to Rory and Shane as well.
Possession crucial from this. How much longer will the referee allow? Dublin lead by